ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् अज्ञानाञ्जनभीतीर्थं विद्यातीर्थं विवेकिनां सर्वेषां सुखदं तीर्थं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विधुशेखरभारतीम् विद्यामुद्राक्षमालामृतकलशकरा कोटिसूर्यप्रकाश जाया पद्मोद्भवस्य प्रणतजनतते सर्वमिष्टं दिशन्ति इन्द्रोपेन्द्रादिवन्द्या त्रिभुवनजननी वाक्सवित्री शरण्या सेयं श्रीशारदाम्बा सकलसुखकरी मङ्गलानि प्रदद्यात्. Dear friends, we are having the great fortune of having the 15th session of our PRABODHA SUDHAKARA meetings during the most auspicious occasion of Navaratri. Therefore, we have begun our sessions today with a prayer to Bhagavan as well as our Gurus as well as Sri Sharadamba, with a view that all three are one and the same. Specifically with respect to Vedanta Vichara, Ambal, Sharadambal functions or graces us in the mode of being the Jnanadatri. Just like we have Bhagavan Ishvara appearing to us in the form of Guru as Sri Dakshinamurti, exactly in the same way Sharadambal appears to us as the Jnanadatri, as Saraswati, as the goddess of wisdom, spiritual wisdom. So just as Sri Dakshinamurti holds the Chinmudra, the Jnana Mudra in his blessed hands, in the same way Ambal also blesses us with the Chinmudra, indicative of the unity of the Atman and Brahman. So with that vision of Ambal in our mind, having the Vidya Mudra or the Chin Mudra, let us all start this session together. So in the last few meetings, we have been looking at this Prakaranam, which is the Mano Nigraha Prakaranam, signifying the teachings of Bhagavad Padar, indicating the withdrawal of the mind and the resting of the mind away from the sense organs and the sense objects. So we have seen about a few verses in this Prakaranam. We will continue from the last verse which we saw in the previous meeting. So Bhagavad Padar was instructing us on how the mind operates in its running towards the various sense objects, following the desires which arise in the mind. Naga Nagara Durga Durgama Saritaf Paritaf Paribhramet Chetaha Yadino Labhate Vishayam Vishayantritamiva Khinnamayati. So the mind which roams here and there in various places trying to find a satisfaction of its desires, if it is not acquiring the desired object, then it becomes immersed in sorrow. That was the teaching. So in this particular chapter, Bhagavad Padar is guiding us on the way to control the mind. That is the main aspect of this particular, or that is the main teaching in this particular chapter. In order to tell us how to control the mind, first we have to understand the problem. So he was also mentioning the problem which arises in the mind, that is its innate tendency. The innate tendencies of the mind to look for external satisfaction, to look for external sources of pleasure. This is the innate tendency of the mind. To curb this tendency, tools are being provided by Bhagavad Gita in this particular chapter, and that exactly is the idea of Mano Nigraha. So let us continue. This is verse number 70. We will go to verse number 71. Tumbi phalam jalantar baladadha क्षिप्तम अप्युपैत्यूर्ध्वम् तद्वन् मनस्वरूपे निहितं yatnat bahiryati. So in this verse, Acharya is telling us an important teaching, that this mind which is not ripened or matured via the practice of Vairagyam is not a fit mind for Vedantic understanding. That is, in spite of sitting in various teachings, in spite of receiving various teachings given by the Guru, given by the Shastras, if one's own mind is not cultivating the attitude of dispassion towards the sense objects, then it will not reap the benefit of listening to these various teachings. So in the second line of this verse, this idea is being mentioned by Bhagavad Pada. Manaha swarupe nihitam yatnad bahiryati. In spite of Manaha swarupe yatnad nihitam, in spite of, by lot of effort, guiding the mind towards the self, guiding the mind towards its own swarupa, the nature, the real nature of the self. Swarupe nihitam yatnat nihitam, by trying to enjoin the mind with the nature, with its real nature, by various efforts. So these various efforts would be Shravana, Manana, Nidhyasana, one can say. So by listening to the words of the Guru, by thinking upon the or contemplating upon the teachings of Vedanta, trying to understand the logical consistency of the Vedantic teaching, and then meditating upon the truth, trying to have a direct understanding of the truth, that is Nididhyasanam. By all these methods, by all these extreme efforts, even if one tries to understand the nature of the self, one tries to keep the mind within the self without going outside, in spite of that, Bahiryati, it naturally comes out. Its very nature is to spring away from the self and go towards the sense objects. Why is this happening? Because the mind has not become a mature mind, a mind which is purified by Vairagyam, such a mind. So the mind has not attained dispassion. In other words, the mind is still passionate, or the mind is still having the attitude of desire towards the various sense objects. That is, there is the feeling which continues that by experience of external sense objects, I will attain satisfaction or happiness. Such a feeling is still enduring within the mind. Such a mind is not ripe to attain the fruit of Vedantic understanding, Vedantic meditation. So to elaborate or to describe this particular teaching, Bhagavad Pada is giving a very beautiful example. Tumbi phalam jalantar balad adaha kshiptam urdhvam, kshiptam api upaityurdhvam. So there are some tumbi phalam. So here referring to some kind of a fruit, which has, you think of a fruit which has sufficient amount of air contained within it. It could be any fruit. So this is a particular kind of a fruit which Bhagavad Padal is talking about, which is called tumbi phalam, which we are trying to, suppose we try to immerse it within water and keep it there. Balat adha kshiptam, jalantar adha kshiptam. So by lot of force, one tries to push that fruit into the water. In spite of that, kshiptam api upaiti urdhvam upaiti. So it bubbles up back into the surface of the water. The moment you leave the hand, it bubbles out back into the surface of the water. So it cannot be kept under water forever. Right? This particular type of fruit, if you try to immerse it within water, for that instant, as long as the person is holding the hand within the water, till that point the fruit will remain within the water by force, but its very nature is to bob back up into the top, come back up into the surface, because that is the nature of that particular fruit. In the same way, this mind, which is having the nature of becoming attracted towards the sense objects, that is, it is still having the feeling that I will become satisfied or happy by experiencing the various sense objects. So such a mind is incapable of becoming or being the reality. It cannot identify and associate and know the truth of the self, of the Atman. So Swarupe Nihitam Yatnad, in spite of that, Bahiryati, it comes out, it moves out of the self to the sense objects. So what is the solution? The solution is Vairagyam or dispassion. Practice of Vairagyam or dispassion. For that, various techniques, various teachings are being provided to us by Bhagavad Padal. The first realization or the first teaching here, which is provided to us by Bhagavad Padal for emboldening the practice of Vairagyam, that is this particular teaching. See, the whole thing about the Vedanta is via understanding of some facts of life, right? So here we do not simply proceed by belief in some particular external thing which lies somewhere else. Instead of that, what Vedanta asks us to do is to think and be aware of certain facts of life and attune your life with knowledge of those facts in such a way that you are not violating or you are not uh, uh, disputing those facts internally. You operate with the awareness of those facts, and when you operate like that, you naturally become synchronized with what are the teachings of Vedanta. In that way, this particular verse here is helping us to understand a certain fact about life. What is that? We will see. Iha va purva bhave va swakarmaner varjitam phalam yadyat shubham ashubham va tattad bhogopya prarthito bhavati. So a beautiful and a very important verse in our discussions, this particular one. This message is extremely crucial for any sadhaka. What is the message here? See, the idea that is very much embedded in our mind is that there is a strong connection with respect to the worry I put in with respect to my life and the benefits or the successes which I get in my life. The more I worry, and then do the action, the more I am fretting about a certain action and perform that action with a lot of worry or uh, 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 a lot of mental stress I take up as I am doing an action. Based upon that mental stress, I will get the respective fruits of that action. This is a natural, what do you say, feeling that people have in general. Whenever a desire for a certain fruit, a desire for a certain experience comes into the mind very naturally goes into the mode of doing action to gain that particular fruit. And when it goes into the mode of doing action to gain a particular fruit, you see there is a connection which is established between that particular action and the fruit which is gained, which is to be experienced, which is desired for right now. For example, the student who wishes to pass a particular examination starts preparing for the examination. So much so is good enough, right? But at the moment he starts to prepare, he is also extremely worried. He becomes extremely worried about what is the result of doing this preparation, whether this question will come or that question will come, etc. So the connection is made between the experience or the desired experience which is to follow and the efforts which are going to be made for that experience during the time of effort itself. As and when the student is preparing for the exam, in the same instance, the student is also worried about the fruit or the phala of preparation. What is going to be my state after the exam, like that. So with that worry in mind, the student cannot even, first of all, prepare for the exam properly and undertakes a lot of stress during that preparation. So what is important, the issue which is being pointed out here is that this strong connection which is established between the action and the result, right, it creates a lot of stress and unnecessary disturbances or worries in the mind. So this connection is first to be broken if at all you want to get out of this mode of desiring for certain things in life and trying to actively work towards them all the time with a lot of mental association with the desired fruit. This is important. See, vairagya means dispassion. What is dispassion? It is lack of passion. In today's language, the word passion is very much propagated as one of the essential qualities. Okay, that may be the case in a particular way, that one has to be, have a certain shraddha towards the action which is being performed. That is very important, no doubt. But this particular dispassion, when we say, we actually mean a attachment towards the objects of the senses or attachment towards the fruits of the actions. That means if that desired goal is achieved, only then I will be happy. That feeling is there strongly within the mind of the person. If the desired goal is not received or not achieved, then I will not be happy. I will become sorrowful. Therefore, my action is being done with a strong desire for the fruits of the action. If I don't get the fruits of the action, then I consider that I am a failed person. I am a failure. I also consider that the actions, whatever I performed, are useless. So all kinds of negative associations are created in the mind when the desired fruit is not attained. When the desired fruit is attained, then certain unnecessary positive associations are also created, like arrogance. I tried, I achieved, therefore I am supreme. I am the only one, or I am one of the few people who have achieved this great thing. Therefore, I become egoistic and arrogant in my attitude. So this desire for action is the fundamental, desire for the fruits of action is the fundamental issue, and this fundamental issue is to be removed by the practice of vairagya. Vairagya is standing against this fundamental issue of desire for the fruits of action. And to remove this, what has one to know? That is being told here. So let us now understand this verse. Iha va purva bhaveva swakarmanaihi swakarmanaihi इह वा पूर्वभवेव स्वकर्मणैर्वार्जितं फलं यद्यत् शुभम अशुभम वा तत्तद् भोगोऽप्यप्रार्थितो भवति. So the experiences which I have in my life, whether they are positive or not positive, negative experiences, that is whether they are I experience them as pleasurable or I experience them as a painful experience. Shubham va, ashubham va, phalam, yadyat phalam. Shubham va, ashubham va, yadyat phalam. Whatever is the positive fruits I get, whatever positive experiences I get, and the negative experiences, ashubham phalam, the negative experiences, the painful, sorrowful experiences I get, all of these are a result of what? They are a result of the karma which I have done either in this particular life or in a previous lifetime. Ihava purva bhaveva swakarmanair varjitam. They have been done by me myself, whether in this particular janma or in a previous janma, no doubt. Tat tat bhogopyaprarthito bhavati. So when I have done the actions before, the fruits of those actions also will be naturally experienced by me. This is the fact. So therefore, what I have to worry about? Why do I have to worry about the fruits of the actions? Why do I have to worry about how much pain or suffering or pleasure I will gain? All of these are pre-decided. They are not pre-decided by any other entity. They are pre-decided by my own actions in the previous janma or in the present janma. So therefore, there is no need for worrying about the various fruits of actions that I am going to encounter in my life. The worry is an additional aspect only. It is an unnecessary aspect only. No matter what I try, no matter how much effort I put, these experiences which are due to the karmas which I have done in the past, they are going to anyway come of their own accord. Anyway, I will have to experience them because I have earned them by my own karma in this janma, in the past, or in the previous janmas before this janma. So, therefore, I do not have to unnecessarily concern myself with the experiences which I will encounter in my life. Every day waking up and worrying about what will happen. This is not a fruitful activity at all. So the Shastra, the teaching here is that you split the karma which you do and the fruits which of the karma which you are going to experience. Don't think, don't keep the feeling that by doing the karma now, tomorrow I will reap the fruits, or in the next instant, or in the next month, or in the next year, the fruits of this karma will come to me. Don't have that particular feeling that by this time I will have to gain the fruits of this particular karma and this will cause me happiness. Right? Do the karma as dharma. Do the karma which is swadharma without desire for the fruits, because no matter what you desire for or not desire for, the fruits of the karma are going to come to you. So why do you have to put an extra clause there that I have to desire for the fruit? It is not necessary at all. You may be doing because it is your swadharma, you may be doing, but don't have the desire. Now, what about those karmas which are not swadharma? That is, they are not nitya naimittika karma, but they are kamya karma. There are some karmas like that. That those kind of karma, that is those actions which are they are not enjoined upon us by the Shastra, but they are enjoined upon us by ourselves. We ourselves put that karma upon ourselves because we have the desire for the fruits. Such kind of karmas are to be completely avoided by the Vedanta sadhaka. Again, the reason being that there is no need for me to have desire at all, simply because in spite of me desiring or not desiring, the experience, the various joys and sorrows I will get in my life are pre-decided by the karma which I have done in the past. Keep this in your mind so that you will become free from the desire for various experiences, running towards pleasure or running away from pleasure, running away from sorrow. Both of these. When pleasure comes, you take it as it is. When the sorrow comes, you take it as it is. Understand that they are results of the priorly done karmas. Understand that there is no need to fret over these things. There is no need to worry about these things. There is no need to desire for sorrow, desire for happiness, or be afraid of sorrow. Take all of them with a even keel of mind, with a sense of balance in your mind. Don't become unnecessarily perturbed by them. This is the message. With that message, our mind, see Bhagavad Pada, what the Shastra and Acharya are trying to do is to set our mind in a restful position. The mind which is very naturally disturbed, that is because of thoughts about the past or about the future. Either thoughts about the past, how what I did do then or what I could not do then, all of those are in the past. Regrets about the past. Then the other disturbance, worries about the future. The worries about what will happen to me, as I grow old, what will happen to me when I go there, what will happen to me, my health is not so doing so great. All these kinds of worries, which are natural worries, normal experiences for the human being, these are obstacles in the path of Vairagyam, in the path of Vedanta. One has to be alert about these things, thoughts about the past and the future. Planning is okay, but worry is not. Similarly, learning from the past is okay, but regrets about the past are not. Learn from the past, plan for the future, no problem, but don't worry about the future, don't fret about the future. At the same time, don't regret what you have done, because the regrets are not useful. Learning is useful, regrets are not useful. Similarly, planning may be useful, but worrying is not at all useful. So one has to split this Swadharmanushtanam and the desire for the fruits of Swadharma. Similarly, Kamya karma should completely be avoided. When there is no space for having desires, there are of no utility at all, because what joy is going to come is already pre-decided, what sorrow is going to come is already pre-decided. So where is the source of necessity for having Kamya karma? That Kama, there is no necessity. It is purely human created. It is purely imagined that by getting this I will become fulfilled. It is not happening. So it is only a mirage or an illusion. It does not happen. By getting somewhere, by getting some new thing, I will not become a fulfilled person. So therefore, there is no need for having any karma in life at all. So with that attitude in mind, one gets the ability to become dispassionate. This is very key. The inability to be dispassionate is coming because of the lack of understanding about the truth, that by getting somewhere or something new, I will become fulfilled. When you don't have that feeling, when you understand the truth that no matter what I get, I will not be fulfilled, and moreover, all that which I am going to get is already pre-decided by my own karma in the past. So therefore, I stop having worries, or I stop having desires about the future. You can just stop. There is no By understanding the truth, you stop. Right? It is not by effort. In the previous verse, if you see, there is an effort involved in controlling the mind. Here, that effort involved is not in controlling the mind, but in understanding of the truth. By understanding, the mind becomes just calm very naturally. That is the teaching. Very important verse in my understanding, in my opinion. So let us go on to the next verse. चेतः पशुम् अशुभपतं प्रधावमानं निराकर्तुं वैराग्यमेकमुचितं गलकाष्ठं निर्मितं धात्रा. So here, the idea here is that for preventing the mind from going out in and desiring for all the experiences in life, all things in life, the sense objects, there is one tool which is provided by Bhagavan. That tool is called Vairagyam. So here the mind, for this an analogy is provided by Bhagavad Pada as usual, as is his very nature in this particular Prakarana Grantha. He provides lot of beautiful analogies. So one analogy is provided here, Chetaha Pashum. So the mind is like a pashu, it is like an animal. You can think of it as like a cattle, a bull or something. And that bull is very capable of running in the wrong paths, in the paths where it is not supposed to go. Ashubha patam pradhavamanam. So the mind very quickly runs towards the Ashubha Patha. Ashubha Patha means what? Some pathway or some direction in which if you go, that particular cattle will end up with Ashubha. That is, it will end up in sorrow. It will end up in suffering. So it jumps and goes towards that because it doesn't know where it is going. Its nature is to just jump and go. So pradhavamanam Ashubhavatam Nirakartum, to prevent it from going in that wrong path, Vairagyam ekam uchitam galakashtam. So one nirmitam dhatra. So dhatra here stands for Bhagavan Ishvara. So Ishvara has nirmitam, has constructed, has provided in this universe. He has provided among all the things, one beautiful, amazing tool is provided, that is Vairagyam. And this Vairagyam is functioning just as that wooden block which is put on the neck of the animal to prevent it from running. Generally, that cattle, to prevent it from running, it is tied up with some wooden block, on its neck, so that it will not jump and go anywhere. That is tied to some other, immovable object like a tree or something. So in the same way, the mind has to be tied up with this Vairagyam. What is Vairagyam? Again, dispassion arising out of understanding. That is Vairagyam. So that is the meaning of this very beautiful verse. Continuing. Now one more powerful tool, observation, is being provided. See, all these observations are nuggets of wisdom. You can think of them as catalysts for the practice of Vairagyam. So you keep these teachings in your mind, then it becomes capable, the mind becomes capable of imbibing the attitude of Vairagyam. So what is this? Nidravasare yat sukham yetat kim vishayajam yasmat nahi chendriya pradeshavasthanam chetaso nidra. One rhetorical question is being raised by Bhagavad Padal here. What is this rhetorical question? Nidravasare yat sukham yetat kim vishayajam kim. During sleep, during deep sleep, dreamless sleep, nidravasare, during the time of deep dreamless sleep, yet sukham, there is a happiness which is being experienced by all individuals. Etat vishayajam kim, is this arising out of sense objects you contemplate? So there is a scope for contemplation, thinking here. What is the thinking which Acharya is wanting us to do? You think whether all happiness in your life is gained via sense objects. You think. Normally, the normal person, the regular jiva, thinks that is we think that all desires are for external objects. By external objects, I get happiness. Correct. So if I want happiness, what should I do? Something to get somewhere or something. If I am unmarried, I want to be married. If I am not I don't have a degree, I want a degree. If I am not a parent, I want to become a parent. If I am not having, a career progression, I want a career progression. So what is the idea, common idea here? I want something which I don't have now. It may be a new experience, it may be a new qualification, it may be a new object. Anything it could be. By gaining that qualification, experience or object, I will become a satisfied person. That is the attitude. So by gaining that extra thing, I will become happy. So this is called Vishayajam Sukham. So by gaining that, there is temporary, some amount of pleasure is experienced, no doubt, by the mind. So the moment a particular achievement or a particular object which you are desiring for, or a particular status which you are desiring for, a particular position you may be desiring for, the moment it is gained, for that moment and maybe for a few instants of time, there is a happiness in the mind. That is, there is a certain sense of fulfillment in the mind, no doubt. This fulfillment, which is temporary, which comes and goes, this is called Vishayajam Sukham. It is born out of Vishaya. Vishaya means something external which you desire for. So Vishayajam Sukham. Now, this kind of Sukham is not the only kind of Sukham which we experience in our life. That is the first observation here. What is this new type of Sukham which is not a Vishayajam Sukham? That is the Sukham, that is the happiness, that is the bliss which is gained during the deep sleep. Nidra vasare yat Sukham etat Vishayajam kim. Is this due to the experience of some sensory object? During the sleep time, during the time of deep dreamless sleep, there is no Indriya, uh, the operation of the Indriyam is not there. The mind is not associated with the Indriyas. That is, Indriya here stands for sense objects, right? It is not by any Vishaya, external Vishaya. So to experience the external Vishaya, I need the Indriya, right? So for experiencing sense objects, I need sense organs. If I see a beautiful thing, I attain some happiness. For that, what is needed? Eyes are needed. If I hear some nice music, I will get some happiness. For that, what is needed? Ears, hearing ability is needed. Shrotrendriyam is needed. So for experiencing any external sukham, I need the indriyas to be active. The indriya should be active, the sense organ should be active, and I should be able to enjoy the sense objects. That is how I can enjoy sense objects. By enjoying sense objects, I get some temporary happiness, temporary satisfaction. True, no doubt. But this is not the kind of satisfaction or happiness or bliss which is experienced during deep dreamless sleep. In deep dreamless sleep, the mind is absorbed in a bija avastha. It is in an absorbed state. So the sense organs are also not associated with the mind. They are also in absorbed state. The body itself is not experienced during deep dreamless sleep. Is it not? There is no sense of external and internal at all, because there is no specific experience in this deep dreamless sleep. By body is not actively experienced, mind is not actively experienced, sense organs are not active. Therefore, there is no Vishaya Grahana, there is no acquirement of perception about sense objects. So therefore, there cannot be happiness arising due to that sense objects. When there is no perception of sense objects, how can there be happiness arising out of sense objects? There cannot be any happiness arising out of sense objects. But still, there is a great bliss which is experienced by all people during the deep dreamless sleep. That is why you wake up feeling refreshed and you say, I slept really well, like that. This deep dreamless sleep which is experienced not out of sensory objects, but because of association with directly the Bhagavan, Ishvara, Atman. This is later teaching which is going to come, but the point here to note here is that this is not a result of the happiness during deep sleep is not a result of Vishaya, is not a result of the sense objects. So therefore, don't think that all happiness in life is only acquired by acquiring sense objects. If you go out and ask anybody, this is the normal message which is given by society. Anybody will say, if you do this, this, that, and you will become great in life, or you will become very accomplished person in life, by whatever way they know, they may say that, and by this you will become happy. Nobody says, without doing anything, you can become happy. But Vedanta alone says that. This is not to promote laziness, but it is to indicate that your nature is in the Ananda. Your nature itself has Ananda. You are Ananda Swarupa, which is Atma. This Atma is Satchidananda Swarupa, and within this Atma alone, the Ananda, real Ananda, is to be Nityananda, is to be found. And this is not. This is opposed to the kind of Vishayananda which is, temporary, and also it is Dukkha Mishrita. This Vishayananda has lot of defects we have seen before. This is not the Ananda you should be desiring for. So the second half of the verse is the description of the Nidra. So it is giving the logic. Nahi Chendriya Pradeshavasthanam Chetaso Nidra. This Chetasaha Indriya Pradeshavasthanam, which is there. So when the mind is actively connected to the sense organs, it is exploring the world through the sense organs and acquiring sense objects, experiencing sense objects through the sense organs. When the mind is in this mode, that mode is not called sleep. It is waking mode, right? It is not Nidra Avastha, it is Jagrada Avastha. So Nidra Avastha is different from this mode. In that Nidra Avastha, there is no connection to the sense objects, sense organs at all. So where is the question of the mind experiencing joy through the sense objects during Nidra? Having this logic in your mind, stop desiring for sense objects. There is a connection which is made in the mind between happiness and sense objects. Wherever there is sense objects, pleasurable sense objects, I will experience pleasure. Sorrowful sense objects, I will experience sorrow. Shastra says this is not the truth. This pleasurable sense object word itself is a wrong word. There are things in the world, you develop desire for certain things and you develop hatred or displeasure or dislike for certain other things. When you develop desire for certain things, when that thing comes, you experience some happiness. You say that happiness is coming because of outside object, but Shastra says this happiness is coming out of your desire, and temporarily your desire is quenched. During the temporary quenching of desire, you see some, you experience some brief moment of happiness. So the happiness or sorrow is a property, and it is a result of certain mental thought processes, or it is associated with the mind only, not really with the sense objects. Because the same sense objects can cause displeasure or have unhappiness towards others. What may cause happiness to you may cause unhappiness to somebody else, or somebody else may be there who may not even care about that object. So the sense objects don't carry happiness or sorrow. The mind alone carries happiness or sorrow, and this mind is very much capable of being happy even without sense objects. You learn to cultivate this kind of happiness. You learn to cultivate this style of happiness, this more real happiness, which is caused due to, which is not caused due to association with sense objects, but that which is caused due to association with the truth. This kind of real happiness you try to cultivate. That is the idea. When you try to cultivate that, what is the natural corollary? The natural corollary is you become disinterested in the objects of the world, which is exactly what Vairagya is. That is the idea. Let us go to the next verse. Advara tunga kudye grihe varuddho yatha vyagraha bahur nirgama prayatnaihi Shrantastisthati Patan Shvasanscha Tatha. So this verse and the next verse are connected. Since we have continued looking at these verses for quite some time, we will stop for today and continue in the next meeting. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.